Hey Liz, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing great.
Good.
Grateful to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to continue in this just kind of general grief topic that we have right now. Um, this one is very, very specific, and it
Mhm,
is grieving a loss you didn't experience.
mhm.
This was sent to me by a friend when I asked her something that, well, I didn't ask her, but I asked in general,
Sure.
what is something that you want addressed in grief or that you like to talk about?
Yep.
Um, and she said this, and I found it very interesting. I asked for a little more in depth information. And so basically, she lost her dad when she was 11 months old.
Mhm.
So her point was she grieves his absence, I guess you
Yeah.
would call it, but she
Yeah.
didn't experience the loss. Like she doesn't know him. She didn't, I don't even know the scenario. I don't know if he passed away. I don't know if he left. I don't know, but
Yeah.
she grieves his absence.
Sure.
Um, so just kind of wanted to like address what that even looks like and
Yeah.
how, I don't know how you navigate something like that and what
Mhm.
are responses to it.
Well, I think the responses can be variable depending on a person and maybe what it means to them.
Mhm.
And so I would say if you experienced loss as a child, so whether that's a very young child before you could truly form memories that you have, or infant,
Mhm.
and this could be true to someone who lost a parent to death at a young age, or even children who are adopted, where they have lost that relationship with a biological parent that they
Yeah.
may not have memories of. And it's really real. And I think that's the biggest thing to be mindful of when we talk about infancy and all of the primary attachments that we make as a new human coming into the world. We have this intricate way of bonding. And so, yes, we may not have vivid memories of these people that were a part of our life in infancy or maybe even early childhood, but that doesn't mean that they didn't have meaning and value or make an impact on who we are and how we form relationships. And then the other thing to be just thoughtful of is whether that's your story that you did lose a parent, or maybe you just never had a relationship with your biological parent
Mhm.
or whomever, an important primary attachment figure. Knowing that other people do, and or that they get to grow up with them, it doesn't matter what your loss was, whether that was to death, divorce, or a parent who just didn't show up for you, who abandoned their role.
Yeah.
That matters. That is a loss that is real and is probably really challenging to navigate and articulate. But I think that's something that deserves time and space, whether that's in therapy or in a trusted relationship or friendship, that loss has meaning and value. And I think, again, it's going to depend on the person, but I'm a big fan of saying to kids that I get to work with, and even adults, I'm really sorry adults failed you. And so losing someone to death doesn't get that response. I'm not speaking to that because
Yeah.
that's different. And that's just catastrophic and that's sad.
Yeah.
And I wish there was a way to make that hurt less, or to make the moments where your parent isn't there with you um less, just less, right? Like I don't know that you can. I mean, you can speak to that, unfortunately, right? Like you lost your dad and you were old enough to have memories and a childhood that he was a part of,
Yeah.
but you've navigated life, and big life moments where he isn't with you.
Yeah. And I was kind of thinking too, I know in this series, one of the topics we had addressed was comparison and grief.
Mm,
And I'm wondering how that might play a role in, so if like, do they maybe not feel justified in like honoring that loss or admitting that grief because they don't
mm.
feel validated that they really experienced the loss, if that makes sense?
So I think it's challenging to give meaning to something that you don't remember.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So if what you have are stories and or just a knowing that yeah, there was this person who was supposed to be in my life and they're not, that might feel inauthentic. Like, well, I don't deserve to grieve that. I didn't know them. They didn't know me. Why would I grieve that? But I think we could actually say that to the concept that we've spoken about in other conversations with miscarriage, right? You know,
Yeah.
a new life in your womb where you're so excited and you can think about a family that you're going to have or this relationship you're going to have with this future person, but then
Yeah.
you don't ever meet them, you don't ever share life with them. That loss is still meaning and has meaning and value. And so
It's
I
someone that
think,
would have played a role in your everyday.
yeah,
That's a hole for you. And maybe it's
yes.
not that you're grieving that person specifically, it's that you're grieving that space or that role that they would have played.
Yeah. Yeah, and the just unknowing of, I wonder what it would have been like. I also hear from people that there's this fantasy, well, they would have been better. They would have known me this way, or almost this escapism of, if only they had been here, surely it would have been different.
Mhm. The
And
grass.
so I think, yeah, the grass is greener, and I think that's where it's important. You know what? If a loss triggers something in you, or the absence of a person in your life brings up emotions for you, that's okay. It's up to you how you navigate those things. You shouldn't feel guilty. The one thing in life we do not get to choose is our emotional response.
Okay.
They just show up. Like, you can choose your thoughts. It might take practice and it might take skill. You can choose your actions. That can take practice, that can take skill. You do not get to choose how you feel. You cannot muster up an emotional response. And so that's why I do think it's very important. Emotions are cues, they're signals that we should have compassion towards ourselves. If we have an emotional response to something, it doesn't make sense to us, don't judge yourself. Maybe get curious, revisit it later, talk to a trusted person about it, and you get to make meaning of what that is for you.
Oh, that's great. That's super helpful. Yeah, I don't really know how you navigate something like that. So I think
Yeah.
kind of validating yourself and saying like, hey, it's okay to have this emotion. There doesn't really have to be like, you don't have to make logical sense of everything or compare, or like there's a million reasons you would grieve something like that,
Right.
in a million different ways. So
Yeah. I think it's such a good topic. So yeah, I appreciate her bringing that up.
yeah, thank you for addressing it.
Welcome.